Hi, welcome back to Reading with Money. I'm Money, and today I'm doing a book tag. I haven't done one of these in a while, but I was tagged by the lovely Jackie from Jackie Reads and Writes. I'll leave her video and her channel link below. If you like historical mysteries, you should really go follow her. She does excellent reviews on a lot of historical mystery series and books, and it's great. She also has a great TBR game involving Scrabble. The tag I am doing is called How Do We Rate Our Books? And it was created by Novels. I think I'm remembering that correctly. I'll also leave the original video down below. This is a tag about how we rate our books. Hi, it's editing me. It's been half an hour, but I am not setting up the tripod again to mention a few things that I forgot, so yeah. One thing, I will be mentioning a bunch of books in this video, and I don't have them with me, and I cannot be bothered to put up pictures of them, but I always leave the Goodreads link below in the description, so if you want to have more information about these books, you can go check that out. I'll probably pop up later again. Now, as I was watching Jackie's video, I kept thinking that my video is probably going to be a little bit boring. Okay, so I said boring, but I don't think I meant that. What I meant is that, like always, I didn't plan for the video. I just started talking. So what I meant was like, this is going to be a very rambly video. Kind of was. So I hope you enjoy. Because, yeah, you'll see once I get into the questions, but I am not the most consistent rater of books. I have become a little bit more discerning this year, I think. I don't know, but let's just get into the questions, all right? First one is, how often do you DNF and what makes you DNF? I am not a very big DNFer. That means I usually finish the books that I read. That usually comes from a combination of I usually want to know how the book ends because I'm a completionist, and also I tend to choose the books that I want to read pretty well, I would say. I think I mentioned this before in my channel, but I know what my reading taste is like. I have developed a good sense of what sort of books I'm going to like. I tend to finish those books. That being said, historically, I have DNF'd a couple of books. When I was in high school, I DNF'd Don Quixote. I could not get into it. I wanted to, read it because it's a classic and of my language and whatever. I could not get past the 10th chapter. It was not for me at the time. Would I appreciate it more now? I don't know, but I am not willing to take the time now to read such a big, challenging book. So that's one. What else have I not finished recently, let's say? Most recently, and very disappointingly, you'll see this in my wrap-up, I am DNFing a short story collection, which, I read 3 stories from that collection. It's called In These Hallowed Halls, and it had stories from Olivia Blake and Emil Rio, and I read those, and one more, and then it just didn't hold my attention. They're all supposed to be dark academia stories. So to answer the question, I do not often DNF books, and if I do, it's because I realize they're not for me, and I really just don't want to, I wouldn't want to say waste my time, but there are so many things that I actually do want to read that, yes, if I feel like that's really making me, even putting me in a reading slump, then I would just DNF. That's my answer. Next is, do you rate books 1 star? I don't think I have ever given a book 1 star. No, I don't think I have. I think I would rate a book 1 star if I read something that was offensive in some way, or like truly badly written, and that hasn't been the case, I think. Moving on to the next question, which I think is related, like, what is a 2-star book to you? That would be that it was a mediocre read. I either didn't enjoy the plot or I didn't enjoy the writing. Case in point, the whole ACOTAR series, I gave a mix of 2 and 2.5 stars. So yes, I read that in full, like the full series, because my sister asked me to. If not, I probably would have DNF'd it, but I was doing videos about it too, so yeah. Another book that I rated 2 stars a couple of years ago was The Maidens by Alex Michaelides, which was different from the whole ACOTAR series because I actually thought I was gonna love The Maidens because the premise and everything was great. And then I just couldn't suspend my disbelief enough to understand the main character's motivation and, yes, involvement in the solving the crime part. I was just, yeah, I couldn't with that book. So that got a 2-star, and that was unexpected, and that was because I really hated it. But yeah, it wasn't an offensive thing, so it didn't really deserve a 1-star, I guess. So that's a 2-star book for me. Something that it was just either not well written, or I didn't enjoy the plot or the characters, or there was just something that, meh. But it was bad, in my opinion, I would say. Next is a 3-star book a good book to you? Or for you? I don't think so. If I give a book 3 stars, well, yeah, if I give a book 3 stars, it means it was just fine. It's not going to be memorable, and there was something that kept me from connecting to the story, be it the characters or the plot or the writing, but it was fine. So yes, I have given a bunch of 3 stars this year, but those were unexpected. I felt like I would enjoy those books when I picked them up. Next is, what does 4 stars mean to you? Don't scratch the sofa. It means that it was a good book, but it was not perfect. That means that there might be something that didn't really make it a 5 stars, but it was definitely enjoyable. Definitely one that I would be thinking about in the future. There was just something, maybe a little detail that just I couldn't really, yeah, that maybe took me out of the story, or that I felt could have gone differently, or something. Like, it was not one of my favorite books, or I didn't enjoy it as much as I thought I would. That has happened quite a bit this year, where I gave 4 stars to books that I had high expectations for, and so they didn't quite make the 5 stars. They didn't quite make the favorite category, but they were still really good. So yes, that happened to me recently with Diablo Blue, for example. I talked about it in my last wrap-up. I had such high expectations for it that then it kind of fell short of that. It can happen, though, that I give a book 4 stars and then I keep thinking about it, and I keep thinking about it, and then I'm like, well, that's clearly more than just 4 stars then, because it's still with me in some way. Which leads me to the next question, which is, do you ever do half-star ratings? I use Goodreads to track my reading, and Goodreads doesn't allow 0.5, but I think that if I truly wanted to give it a 0.5, then, or like a half star, I would mention it in my review. In my journal, I do tend to do that. When I'm rating the book, I would try to give it like the rating I actually think would have. That was a hard sentence for some reason, but it's not very often. It's usually pretty clear cut for me, like what's a 4 star and a 5 star. Usually I say that, but I don't know. I don't think I've ever given a book like 3.5 stars, or yeah, it's either 2, 2.5, and then 4 or 4.5. Don't ask me why. I have no idea. Next is, do you rate books 5 stars often? Yes, very, very often. And as a follow-up, it says, what do 5 stars books do to make them rate that high? And this is where I'm very inconsistent. If I enjoy the book, if I finish it and I'm like, I need to talk about this book with someone, or I'm just screaming about it, or I cried, it's usually 5 stars. I don't know what to tell you. That means that I really enjoy the writing. I adored the characters, or I could connect to them in some way, or the plot was excellently done. I don't know. And I give stars pretty liberally, as I say often here on my channel. Like, for example, if you look at my journal now, like the last, I think 4 books I read were 5 stars, and they were all very different in genre, tone, writing style, but they were all 5 stars to me. So yeah, I don't know what to tell you. However, there's a caveat to this. My best friend has this system, which I try to think about when I'm trying to think about what are my favorite books of the year. And that is, to those very special books, like a book can be 5 stars, but then there's an extra star for those that are very special, like a 6th star. For example, last year To Paradise by Hanya Yanagihara was a definite 6-star book, as well as, I don't know, anything by Natasha Puli to me is always 6 stars. The whole Station 11 trilogy, like the last book, Sea of Tranquility, that was definitely 6 stars. That's what I mean by this. This year, I haven't really decided which books would have like that extra star, apart from one, which is definitely Cristodora, because my god, and probably The Wishing Game, now that I'm thinking about it. And I'm pretty sure there are others, but I can't think of them right now. The Terror by Dan Simmons. I don't know why that didn't occur to past me, but yeah, which is funny because that book I originally gave 4 stars, but that's because it took me a month to read it because I was doing Wonderthon in the middle, and it's so intense. But yeah, the more I think about it, the more it becomes a favorite. So yeah, that one definitely goes on the list. This year's book bracket, which is what I used to decide my favorite books of the year, should be interesting. So I'm looking forward to that. So anyway, moving on to the next question. Has your rating of books changed over the years? I don't remember when exactly I started rating books. I think it must have been when I started using Goodreads, which is like 10 years ago. And I think at that time, I gave all my childhood favorites 5 stars. And then everything I read in those years, most of those things had 5 stars. I don't know. There are some 4s and 3s in that time period of like my early 20s, I guess. Then for a while, I didn't read as much. So I think I was more discerning in those books. Or was I? No, maybe I just gave everything 5 stars because I read so little that everything that I read was really good. Usually by recommendation of my best friend. So I knew they were going to be good. I don't know. But yeah, this year, I think, because I have broadened my reading, let's say, I'm reading a lot more arcs, and books that are coming out this year or like very recently. And also I've read a lot more than in previous years, like 2021, which was the year when I started this booktube channel. I read 50 books. And 50? Yes. Last year I read 74, and in this year I'm definitely on track to reach 75 books. So I think that that's the reason why I have found more variety in what I read, and therefore I become more discerning, I guess. And not everything is 5 stars, but I don't know. Next is the last question, I think. Where do you record your ratings of your books? Well, I already mentioned I have a reading journal and I use Goodreads. And like I said, I do like keeping track of that. I have a spread in my reading journal, which is the bookshelf, the typical bookshelf, and I color code them based on whether they're a digital book or a physical book. But I think next year I'm going to try to color code them according to star rating. I need to come up with a way of doing that. I think it would be interesting. I've seen other people do it, and at first I thought, like the first couple of years that I did this, I thought it would be very boring because everything would be either 4 or 5 stars, because that had been the case in previous years, I think. But I think it could become a bit more interesting color-wise to do that next year. So we'll see. Okay, and that's it for the tag. The last thing to do is to tag other people. So I am tagging everyone from our Rhodes Book Club who would like to participate and who has a booktube channel. But off the top of my head, Ruby from Ruby Red, Marcela, I never remember how to say her name, oh my god. Marcela and her books, that's the way I would say it in Spanish anyway, so you'd have to let me know if that was the correct pronunciation. Who else has a booktube channel? Kendra has a channel, but I can't remember the name of the channel. But anyway, I'll link a whole bunch of great people down below. You should subscribe to all of them. And then everyone else who would like to do this tag. I think it's an interesting way of getting to know how people actually do rate their books and see the different rating systems and, you know, the thought process that goes behind it. I don't know. I think I probably rambled way too much, but I hope you found it interesting anyway and it wasn't as boring as I thought it was gonna be. Also, I'm just noticing that my t-shirt really blends with my wall in this lighting. I think maybe when I edit it, it will be different, but if it has and I look like a disembodied face and arms, I apologize. But I do love this t-shirt, vintage. It looks like a vintage The Who poster. I really like it. Anyway, I am digressing. I'm gonna let you go. So let me know in the comments down below if you also, like me, rate 5 stars very liberally, and what has been, I don't know, a recent 1 star or 2 stars for you, because I always find that interesting. Hope you enjoyed the video. Leave a like if you did, and I'll see you in the next one, which I don't know what it's gonna be. Bye! Happy reading!